what has happened. The greed-motivated man has closed in with his commercial environment, and now they have lost all sense of natural direction. So we have Allah, you and I, we have Allah. We don't worry about it.
That's right, that's right.
Look, let me say this to you. If we have survived slavery after 430 years, we can survive 8 years with anybody.
Yeah.
Okay? And if Allah lets it happen, it's because He wants to develop your muscles.
Yes.
You need some muscles to be developed. You hear me?
Yes, yes.
Allah Akbar. So nature has an inherent aim. And nature is never satisfied until it reaches its full development of excellence. You know, now, what's going on now? The old world societies, they gave us a protection, old slavery things, that reached our five senses in our hearts like an animal. That's why we couldn't make real progress. And that kind of knowledge that we got, it didn't correct bad habits that we had. Okay? You can have a PhD degree, but what good is that if you're still a reefer head? If you're still an alcoholic, your bad habits haven't been corrected. You understand the language? And they leave that open so that the subconscious mind cannot come into the right order. The subconscious mind is the passageway into your nature. You know, I'm looking at you now, and I can look at you and tie my shoe, right? But when I first learned that, I couldn't look at you and tie my shoe. I had to look at my shoes and tie it. But I trained my subconscious mind so many times until it will work automatically while I look at you. So they have learned that. And what they want to do is to give us these weak and bad habits that will rule where intelligence is supposed to rule. To replace these, this particular situation in us. And so now how are they working on us? Not just blacks anymore, they're working on their own people. And what is it? What are they using now? The greatest modern tool for enslavement is moral corruption. Not no guns, not no bullets. Make everybody indecent. You get it now?
Yes.
Those elements in a nation that just want dominance by demoralizing the population. So what has happened? They have allowed the false life of material plenty. And let's say money was wrong. Nothing wrong with the money. It's the artificial life attached to the money that has captured the souls of the American public, the spirit, and corrupted that morality, and killed the sense of right and wrong in people. And these forces of permissiveness have been used to undermine and contain the poor people especially. You know, the human mind, you know when it suffers the most? When the mind suffers the most when it tries to rationalize falsehood. So they've been rationalizing it so long until they're suffering and can't see that the steps they're taking is towards their own destruction.
Wow.
This is a psychological analysis of the country. We are placed in the position to analyze the collective mind of a nation.
Right.
You are wonderful people. You have earned this. And can't you see you're the only people that qualify to give justice? Because you're the only people that have suffered the greatest loss in human history. No other people can claim it. And sin only happens when the mind leaves the position of its original innocence that it had at birth. Is this helping a little bit?
Yes, sir.
فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى. Think, and think is beneficial. That's what we're doing now. I like emotions, but I'm not going to use it. I'm trying to control it. So don't think that anyone can be material You know, this guy's got all this money.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, look, I don't even want to call him name.
Yeah, I know.
You know
We
what I'm
know.
so material and think that he's not spiritual? It's impossible. No man can give himself to material occupation or material activities and not be spiritual. But what's happening is that the more you give yourself to the material phenomenon will then decide your spirituality. But you're still spiritual.
Yeah.
Allah. So this word tripped out a lot of people. It tripped me out until the Imam gave it this way. I'm talking about Imam Muhammad. He said, you know what spiritual means? It only means to be influenced. Okay, so I'm a spiritual preacher. I'm a preacher that can be influenced. Now that's a better definition. I can deal with that. It doesn't send me out on planet Pluto somewhere. They keep my feet right here on the ground. And why are these drugs and why is this crime existing? It's because there's no human being ruling in that flesh body. See, we confuse a human just by looking at a body.
Right.
But the Quran corrects us. It tells us Ar-Rahman, the beneficent God. Alam al-Qur'an. He taught the Quran. Khalaqa al-insan. Then you create the human being. No knowledge, no human. Chapter 55 of the Quran. I read it again. Ar-Rahman, the beneficent God, gave you things that you cannot enumerate. If you live 1,000,000 years, you're not going to write out all the things Allah gave you. Okay. Alam al-Quran, he taught the Quran. Khalaqa al-insan. Then created the human being. Meaning that you have a physical body, but no mind in that body, no human. It's an animal in human image. It looks like a man. So I see some of you going to sleep, so I'm going to have to finish. You know, in the Bible, some of you remember the church teachers, right? Said the serpent was upright in the garden, like this. Then he said something wrong, and then he was cursed to crawl on the ground. You remember that teaching? How many was in the church? Let me see here. Don't be shy. I was in the church. Allahu Akbar, not that many. Alhamdulillah. Isn't that wonderful? We don't have that kind of teachings in the Quran because it's not a teaching. It's a methodology for manipulators to use. The serpent is the human being. If you look at, the serpent looks like this. You know, it's a snake, right? If I wanted to use a projector, next time I come, I'll bring my projector. No, these pictures, they work. I have to do a lot of talking. If you take my hair off and take my skin off and take my skull off, you'll see my brain look like this. And if you take everything away and leave the brain and the spinal cord attached, it's a snake. You understand it now?
Yes.
You see the blessings that you have? So the serpent was what? First upright. Every human being and his brain and his spinal cord sensitivity is used upright. No human being knows how to do wrong. Then later on, thank you. See, Mama? And then later on, that serpent he falls down, right? And he's cursed to crawl on the ground, right? Now look how Allah has blessed us through Prophet Muhammad. What is that telling us? That here's a snake that moves on the ground without legs. So what is he moving with? He's moving with his skin. Am I right? And what's in the skin? Feelings. Feelings is all over your body. Am I right? From your head to your toes. So what does it mean? It doesn't mean that the snake is moving that way. It means the snake will move you through your emotional nature. And not allow the feelings to rise from there to rise up here. It's an intellectual, thinking creature of a rational conscience. Now you know how the culture is being manipulated. They're using the emotions and bypassing. Here you got PhDs and doctors like me, and they're being moved by emotional situations. You'll see them. That's my phone. Wants to pray again. You'll forgive me, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
The
sir.
phone got more sense than you. So it's trying to make sure You have humans in my profession. I'm not talking about any of them, but I know them. Guys I went to school with. All that so-called rational knowledge couldn't save it. One a surgeon like me on drugs. I know him. Beautiful person. He's a beautiful person. But he has been captured by his emotions. All that medical science couldn't save it. I'm good at that. So for us, in terms of economy, in this religion of Islam, we have to possess ourselves before we possess something material. As Muslims. I shouldn't be concerned about my possession of a car, my possession of a house. I should be first concerned about possession of myself. Do I possess my own self? Otherwise, my possessions will be possessing me. This is true. So I want a car, I want a home, I should want myself first. Then all of those things will come naturally. And listen, dear believers, if it's the media that's going to be developing my personality and my child, and I'm imitating these things. Now listen, I'm going to give you these hadiths, but I like to give hadiths would put our feet on the ground. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, you're not among us if you imitate other people. Y'all know that, right? Now most people, oh, that's a hadith, and they give it some degree of consideration. But whatever's in the Quran, whatever Prophet Muhammad has given us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is deep. So what was he saying? I want the depth of it now. He's telling us that if you try to imitate people outside of your nature, then you're going to be created in a second creation. And the second creation is your artificial creation. And then you're going to have in you your originality in you and your artificiality in you at the same time. And that's going to be the state of Gale. Is this helpful? And that artificial self, imitating these things, will become the torture and the demon in our life. Now I need some Valium and some Prozac. Because my own life is torturing me. And that life, artificial life, is making me to undermine my own goods because it is my artificial self that is the enemy. And I need this kind of talk that is a mirror. See, the mirror on the wall, Prophet Muhammad says that the believer is a mirror for a believer. Meaning that we will say things to each other because we love each other so much, even though I know it's going to hurt you. And I might lose your friendship. But I must say what is going to save your life. Somehow I got to find a way sooner. Maybe I ain't strong enough to tell you today. But I know if I'm a believer, I got to tell that brother. Next month I'm going to tell him. Or her. You see what I'm saying? So that at least they will be conscious and aware of what is hurting them. You never notice when you go to tell somebody something that they're doing wrong? You say something, and then most of them will say, that's me, man. That's the way I am. I've been like this all my life. That's a lie. You ain't been like that. You just been like that 20 years ago, or maybe 50 years ago. That's the artificial self that you have become. This is you, and we're trying to erase this garbage from you. And you're defending the fault.
Yes.
And all of us have this, to some degree or another. This is your liberation. This is your freedom before you die. You can practice this so long, listen dear believer, until you won't even want to commit a sin. I'm telling you. The one who's a doctor, didn't he have to practice to be a doctor? The engineer had to practice to be an engineer. You can have 10 faults, and if you keep practicing, you'll have 9. You'll have 8. You'll have 5. You'll have 6. It will start to go down. And every time you go into sajda, you'll go like this, right? And the point is, Prophet Muhammad was trying to get us to understand, return to your original self. Return to your original self. You get it now? Yes. Return to your original self in this world before you die. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
We're going to understand something. Thank Allah, man. Woo! For these wonderful teachers. Honorable Elijah Muhammad set me up. Do for self. Build a nation. Rise, you mighty nation. You can accomplish what you will.
Yes, he
Huh?
Yes.
Walk your post in a perfect manner.
Yes,
Until
sir.
the prophet is released. General order comes forth. Oh, I remember, and I'm still living it. This is the nation of Islam. In this room.
Yes, sir.
In its evolved form. And he told us, I remember.
I'm done.
I do remember. He said we will lose the temple, but it will be rebuilt in 3 days. Huh? First day, Prophet Muhammad. Second day, Elijah Muhammad. Third day, Khalid Muhammad. Most people say, where are we going? Where are we going? Like you going to Detroit or Chicago or something. No. Imam Muhammad told us, he was asked the question, he told us, he said, I am taking you to the Quran. Why is his language changing? Because if you're traveling, the scenery changes. The scenery doesn't stay the same. Because you're going somewhere.
Yes, sir.
So we had all those different names, didn't we?
Yes, yes.
World Community of Islam, American Muslim Mission, and couldn't see that it was a natural thing. What you mean it was natural? Your name changed. Didn't they call you an infant?
Yeah.
Then the name changed to a child. Then the name changed to a teenager. Then the name changed to an adult, right? So the name changed as you changed.
Yes, sir.
Allahu Akbar. That man was guided by Allah. So I thank you so
That's
very
right.
much.
Thank you.
So I hope in those few minutes you'll have something that will help you to make much more progress. Because something is happening, something very mighty is happening. And Allah is making a new people again upon our originality. And this is no different than the works of Jesus and Moses. It was a small community oppressed by a larger community who were denied their material life in that world in that time. And Allah is using you as his witness that he's God. Yes. And he didn't start you off with money. He started you off with the word. Every nation started with the word, not with money. Why? Because Allah didn't want the money to manipulate the people. He wanted the people to utilize the money. So we are in line for great blessings. Great material money is going to come. But I want my faith above my finances.
Yes.
Yes.
And Allah knows best what he's
That's
doing.
right.
That's right, brother.
I'm going to tell you this. When I was 14 years old, I had a job. I was making $85 a week. Can you imagine $85 a week for a 14-year-old? And I wanted to stay on that job forever. Allah was the best Lord. Woo, I'm so thankful he took me out of that. But I was, $85, I cried like a baby. Oh, Allah, why you do that? So now I'm in a situation as a surgeon, I make as much money as I want.
There you go, man.
So sometimes what you think is a loss is a gain. It's just that you don't understand the wisdom of Allah at the time. So I'm sharing you my life experience with you. No matter what your situation, no matter how bad it is, in your mind, Allah is using it to build a muscle in you for something greater you're going to meet in the future. It's coming. Allah is not going to deny you. I told you I came from a family of 15 brothers and sisters. I went to school with holes in my shoes. People used to give us food and clothes, and that's how poor we were. And they would come out and run and hide because I was ashamed to accept charity. Allah put that in me as a child, 8 years old. All men are like that. Allah. Yeah. So let me finish this now. So we can really appreciate these wonderful things. Again, we're talking about this family thing. You know now, if you have this special thing called a womb in the woman, it has to be so special until Allah had to reveal something to us in the Quran that we would never have put together. And I want you to write this down, go back and read it. It's chapter 4 of the Quran and verse 119. And it says, where Satan says, I will create in them false desires. Do you remember reading that?
Yes, sir.
Do you know if Satan had the power, he would go into the womb and form us in the womb the way he wanted? But Allah won't let him do that. He has to wait until you sisters deliver the life. Are you following me now? Now, sisters, you listen very carefully. And brothers, we need to appreciate it. Satan, what he's doing is copying the womb that Allah made. And as Allah takes an undeveloped life and gives it lungs and heart to give, Satan wants to create this world as a second artificial womb. Is it clear now? Yeah. And what he wants to do is destroy the original womb so that he would have access, free access, to create the kind of people he wants. So now they have formed this culture, this world, and they have gone out on their own arbitrarily to shape the world to deform men. This is what's happening. And this is not a talk, spooky talk, it's happening in our eyes. We're seeing it. And they designed this environment to be a huge womb. But Allah manifested his truth in the first time. And he, Allah, made this womb to receive his truth. And the world became unnatural and forgot Allah's way and scattered the parts of the womb. Like you break a great big plate glass window. But thank Allah, they cannot destroy it. They can only destroy what you would call knowledge. But I mean, you know, like, you ever heard of the Library of Alexandria? It was a great library of the Egyptians. Brothers and sisters, ain't nowhere in the world they burnt that library down with the books in it. Those thieves got the books and then burnt the library. You know what a great knowledge is for most Muslims? You know where it is? It's in Rome. So you can destroy the books, but you cannot destroy the tools of knowledge. What are the tools of knowledge? The universe itself is a tool. Your five senses is a tool. Your human spirit is a tool. Those cannot be destroyed. And when Allah reveals where those tools are and how to use them, then we call the womb again back into place. You powerful people? Yes, don't know. And Allah opens up the mind of one, like Prophet Muhammad. And then those men who follow after him, W.D. Muhammad. And the men and women youth. And then we're able to do what? Call together those scattered pieces of the womb. This is what's happening. That this world has grown everywhere. The black man in Africa, he's in Haiti. He's in France. He's in Germany. Our African womb was scattered. But Islam called it back together. Alhamdulillah. So as I finish now, and I'm finishing this, but you need to understand yourself a little bit more. And I'm learning myself just as you are. You know what Allah says? An old soul pleasing to Allah and pleased with yourself. You remember reading that, right? Chapter 89. You know what Allah is talking about? He's talking about a personal relationship with his human creation. And he, Allah, has shown us our nature and our reality for our soul that we exist for. We have a natural need to be connected with our Creator. And you qualified yourself because you were under the pressure of your own values and your own standards. And this is hard to get some people to understand. So I'm struggling. You know how you make a computer? And once you make that computer, I taught the guy that made the computer. He can stand back and you can program that computer and it'll do what you program it to do without the person touching the key. Am I right? Okay. Allah created you with excellence and standards. And as you struggle to live up to those standards, you became the beautiful creature that he created you to be. And you struggled to accomplish with your souls, believe it or not, the demands of your own excellence. You thought you were doing, listen, you thought you were doing this for Allah, and you were, but you were doing it for the perfect creation of yourself that Allah made. I am becoming myself. Alhamdulillah. This is something. So it is not so much Allah demanding you to make prayer and salat, it's your own created self that's making those demands. And you're responding to that self. And most of you who do that, you are happy and you have a small garden of paradise. Right here.
Yeah.
So I'm closing this up, because if I don't, I won't stop. You ever notice those little babies? The little babies, the younger they are, the closer they are to the original self. The older we get, the further we get away from our original self. We're becoming this TV, this actor, you understand what I'm trying to say? Imitating this uncle, this aunt, which is good if what you're imitating is good. Right. But you ever notice a child? You'll have a little small child, and that child will be in the room by themselves. Sometimes it's two of them, but you really see it as one. And you in another room and they're just talking. Yeah, and you're like, who the hell is that? And you get up and you go into that room, right? And you're looking there, ain't nobody in there. Now listen, the baby is talking to themselves at that young age, and what they are saying is not going to hurt them. Then that baby comes from that to our culture, and we start saying things to the baby. And now when the baby repeats those things that we say to it, it hurts us. So Allah has to give us something. So he gives us salat, prayer. And we say in prayer those things that will not hurt us, as the child we were said things that did not hurt us. Now let me finish with you. How many times do we make salat?
5 at least.
How many senses do we have?
5.
How many days in the month does a woman get pregnant? It's 28 days. She can only get pregnant in 5 days. All them other days, buddy, that's for your enjoyment. I'm talking to the brothers now. Now they find out this truth. They say, ooh, this truth, this is Islam. So they going to change the numbers now. No, she get pregnant in 4 days. As long as it don't come up with the Muslim 5. They something, man. They're changing science so they don't agree with religion. So why? Why do you make your prayers on time? For the same reason that a woman can only get pregnant 5 days out of the month. Listen, the human being is a special creature. That if his wife gets pregnant down here, he gets pregnant up here. So Allah has given us these 5 times because these are the most times in the day when you are most fertile. When you can receive the germ of talent that Allah wants you to receive and you become pregnant with. So every time you miss the prayers in that zone, you miss the possibility of your pregnancy or your development. I hope you will appreciate it. So I don't want to miss pregnancy anymore. Okay? You are evolving stage after stage. Allah is never finished with you. As long as you are in this womb, this world, it is a transitory womb. And Allah is working on you. You're going to tell me Allah makes new universes and new galaxies? They find this on TV. You go to PBS, they'll tell you that. And you're going to tell me Allah ain't working on me every day? Wow, man, I ain't got time for a reason. I don't see when you understand like this, you don't have time for that foolishness. Makes it easy. Knowledge makes it easy to live a correct life. Praise be God. So I thank you. And this is the sacred book. You read this book every day. This is the Quran.
Yes, indeed.
You see how small it is? Allah's God. Do you know what it says in the book of Revelation? It said, and we are going to send them a little book. This is the Bible. If it was talking about the Bible, it would have said we will send you the Bible. But it said we will send them a little book. And the Quran is smaller than this. You have to have Quran this big. I'm serious. I'm not making this up. I'm telling you the truth. And it says in the book Revelation, it says we heard the angels giving 7 thunders. Talking about the 7 verses of the Al-Fatiha. Isn't that so?
Yes, sir.
And David slew Goliath by taking up 5 smooth stones, but he only used 1. Right? Mm-hmm. So you got the first 5 verses in the Quran, chapter 96, right? And you got the 7 verses in Al-Fatiha. What does it say? When we do our takbīrs for the Eid, don't we do 5 and 7? What is it talking about? Use your 5 senses 7 days a week. It's simple. So I have to go. I'm struggling like this. I tell everybody where I go, this ain't fair. Y'all shouldn't do me like that. Ooh, you should see your pretty faces. Women look like they put on makeup, but I know I don't see no lipstick. And you brothers are handsome. God Almighty, I want to go down there and kiss you. But that's what knowledge does. When you hear more knowledge, your real self comes out. You sit back in the chair, you shout. And the more knowledge you do, your soul does like this. It just brings it to the fore. So thank you so very much. Don't worry about these numbers. Just keep doing it. You're going to overcome all obstacles. Praise be to God. You're a wonderful community. Yeah. And I wish I was in here. You know you were the most supportive community of Imam Muhammad. Y'all know that. Newark, Jersey, Philadelphia. Number 7 in New York, Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes.
And I'm from Chicago, number 2 headquarters. And y'all made us look like babies. So I'm thankful to you. Let me give you this last thing I gave some people. In the Nation of Islam, we had 10 hup, right? Right faith. Left faith. Right? South faith. Forward faith. Didn't realize the wisdom of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was preparing us for the 4 tax years. See that?
Yes.
They didn't have, how you gonna tell a kindergarten child about capitalism? So they would always tell us in the Nation of Islam, get the lessons, but do what? Dig deep. The answer is not on the surface. So it said the mother plane will come. After 40 years, right? You remember that, right? What did it mean? It meant that knowledge and understanding will come after 40 years of Elijah Muhammad's time. W.D. Muhammad came and brought the understanding down to earth. I'm saying it for those of us in the Nation of Islam because they need to hear that explanation. And we were told to say ice salam alaikum, ice like ice in the refrigerator. But Muhammad knew it wasn't ice salam alaikum. He knew it was as-salam alaikum. But he was saying that we're going to keep your talent frozen until you come into knowledge. Then we'll thaw you out so nobody can use your resources but you.
All right,
Nation of Islam is full of wisdom, but they need us to know. Don't mock them. Don't mock the nation. Don't mock what you were.
That's right.
You know they're making salat now. They're reading the Quran. They're fasting. Alhamdulillah. And I was in Haiti with about 11 members of the Nation of Islam. And we treated 100 people, dirt poor. I went into a hospital with no lights, no running water. Okay? But I went there with them. Now that's something to think about. So we have to do more with what we have. We got to walk the talk, as they say. So I'm thanking you businessmen. I met a young businessman. He's going to help me. I want him to help me in Miami to establish some business. And that's the way we have to be. You need oral surgery, you come to me. Don't try to pull your own tooth out. So we look around and we thank Allah for the talent in that man. His talent, he looked good. So I stand next to you, brother. But I have to shade myself. So may Allah bless you. We say to you, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.